Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It is still in the description below. It is still your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing. In 2014, Cartier launched the Calibre de Cartier diver, and in 2015, it gave us the variant you see right here, ADLC stainless steel with amorphous diamond-like carbon, super hard, scratch-resistant, and stark. It gives this Cartier a broad-shouldered butch look, much more aggressive, ready to go into battle against, yes, the likes of Rolex and Omega, but also Audemars Piguet and Hublot. This is a robust machine. It's also an easy one to wear, though 42 millimeters in diameter. It is incredibly thin for a dive watch. At 11.2 millimeters thick, it's only about 1.4 millimeters thicker than the Calibre de Cartier non-diver. So that's 11.2 millimeters thick and then 48.5 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, with a sort of custom and non-standard 23.5 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now, because the case back is so dramatically curved to wrap around your wrist, it wears smaller than a 42. It's definitely thin, there's no doubt about that. It's over a full millimeter thinner than a Submariner. On my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, you can see how those lugs hug the wrist. So I could recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. And while it's going to look big and stark, it's also going to sit very comfortably. Again, easy to fit underneath the cuff. We'll do the down the barrel shot one more time. You can see the lugs are not out over the edge of my wrist. And then over the top, which always exaggerates the width of the watch across the wrist. But as I roll to each side, you can see how much clearance I've really got. The strap is a custom piece. You can see it has these raised relieved little diamonds, and then on the back it is a brand new Cartier factory strap, no crimping, no gouging, with a matching DLC stainless steel buckle, which you'll appreciate is Cartier branded, satinated, and has a very subtle polished bevel on its edge. It also has a raised bridge, so when you stick the strap into it, you can see how the strap sits flush inside the buckle rather than adding a lot of height on your wrist. Little details like that matter, and the watch is full of them. We have skeuomorphic fixing screws. Actually, the watch uses a more conventional system. You can see the screws don't hold the strap to the case at all. It uses spring bars, but it's a good look and it provides some contrast. The strap is fully recessed into the case band, which means that there's actually a recess or revetment in each side so that the strap can be completely flush, but at the same time, it's not pressed against the side of the case so tightly that it impedes the motion of the strap. You can pull the strap vertically down from the lug, so you get the best of both worlds, a handsome, integrated, no daylight look, and then the ability to pull the strap straight down around a small wrist. And the pivot centers are further inboard than the tip of the lug, which is why this watch wears so well on a narrow wrist. You can see that the lugs, although not as dramatically notched as, say, a Longa case, they are stepped out a bit, which is in contrast to the fully integrated lug design you see on Seamasters and Rolex Submariners and Sea Dwellers. You can also appreciate that while most of the case is brushed, we do have these little polished highlights, which I appreciate considerably. There is a faceted blue spinel inside a crown guard structure that features polish and satin, and these two pieces are fixed by screws, so if they do get gouged, they can be replaced. The outer lip of the bezel is polished with a wonderful knurling that makes it a pleasure to grip. The 120 click bezel may be the finest I've ever encountered, and there's a reason for that. In addition to a crisp detent, it rolls on ball bearings, a unique distinction you will not find on many other divers. It's everything you would expect of a product with Cartier on the diver. Cartier on the diver, and Cartier on the dial of the diver. You can also see that there's a little bit of an inward cant to this dished bezel insert. This is actually also ADLC, so while it's not made of ceramic, it's just as hard, and unlike ceramic, it can't fracture and come off in pieces. We may as well do a Lume shot now, because this is a true ISO 6525 diver. So 6425, I should say, is the ISO. Though the watch is rated to 300 meters because it is ISO certified, it's been tested to 125% of that. Now you have a large bezel index, enormous broadsword hands for the hours, minutes, and seconds. And note how the entirety of the ring for the small seconds is loomed. So I've always said that I prefer a dive bezel to a chronograph because it's easier to read. It's more precise if you're timing something between 30 and 60 minutes, and you don't have the downstream repair costs of a chronograph or service costs of a chronograph. So on that basis, a win for Cartier. You could see that the hour and minute hands have been blackened. Then we have the traditional Cartier radially arrayed indices and Roman numerals, and you can see it's a little bit of an unusual arrangement. I'm not sure that there's a name for this. California dials would include Romans and Arabic, but here we have Romans on the top and stick indices on the bottom. So you can also see that we have radially arrayed Arabic numerals for the small seconds, and I know it's true, 300 meters is not 1,000 feet, but we're just going to press the I believe button. Everyone does that. You can see the Cartier secret signature up at 10 o'clock, and then we have a little polished steel surround and a triple date, and the idea there is self-evident, and this is why it's there. You can see the preceding and succeeding date, so you know what day it is, even if the date is covered. Now, the watch does have a screw-down crown. You can see it's polished. When you thread it all the way out, you have a stop seconds function, so you can stop the watch and set it precisely to a reference time. And then there's also a quick set function, so you can rapidly cycle the date should you wish to or encounter an irregular length month. You can quick set the date. Under the reverse side, we have a Cartier manufacture movement. Now, it's relatively simple. It's a drop-in replacement for the ETA 2892A2. So the Cartier 1904 PSMC is of the same diameter as the ETA, 25.6 millimeters, but it is Cartier's own construction. It's automatic winding with a 48-hour power reserve, a 4 Hz beat rate, 27 pivot joules, and both the stop seconds and the quick set date, but it does have one major refinement that advances the state-of-the-art over the ETA, and that's the use of 2 barrels in series. You can get 42 hours of power reserve with 1 barrel, ETA does, but with the twin barrels in series and phased mainsprings, you have a better timekeeper because you have a broad and very flat torque curve as those 2 mainsprings are phased to overlap. So you don't need a constant force mechanism like a remontoir or a fusee. For the most part, you're going to get constant force to the escapement unless you're at the very beginning or the very end of the power reserve of the watch. And if you simply wear this automatic watch every day, you're unlikely to ever find yourself either at the very beginning or the very end of the power reserve. If you love this watch, and there's a lot of reasons to, reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.